Your first page of notes on our formula, you basically have two aims in mind. The first aim is to be able to know when you should use our formula. The second aim is to see how to use our formula. Now, what do you see to ensure that you know that is our formula question? You have to see that it contains sine plus or minus cosine or cosine plus or minus sine. It will only be sine or cosine, it will never be tangent. The intention of using our formula is to be able to convert to a single trigo. The single trigo can be sine or the single trigo can be cosine. So one more time, the aim is to be able to convert the given expression to a single trigo. It can be sine, it can be cosine, depend on the format of the given expression, which we shall discuss later on. So your point 2 is to be able to see how to apply our formula. Now, the whole paragraph here is based on generic expressions. I'm going to give you specific equation here. Now, say for example, I have 2 sine theta plus 1 cosine theta. So I'm going to tell you that eventually the format will be r sine theta plus alpha. Now your job is to be able to evaluate r and alpha. To do it the long way first, this is actually involving addition formula. Now one more time, the format is a sine bracket theta plus alpha. This is clearly done by addition formula if you wish to do expansion. Okay, I'm going to do expansion now. So based on our formula, based on addition formula, once you open up the existing format, you will get sine first angle cosine second angle plus cosine first angle sine second angle. Now we shall do our comparison now. I will color code that. Now first of all, I'm going to compare the coefficient of sine theta. So I'm going to highlight the sine theta. Now can you see that the left hand side for the sine theta, you have coefficient of 2. For the right hand side, the coefficient of sine theta is r cos alpha. I'm going to equate the coefficient of sine theta on both sides. So what you shall see is, I'll write down properly. So say if I compare coefficient of sine theta, I'm going to get 2 equals to r cos alpha. I'm going to label this as equation number 1. This is upon comparison of sine theta, okay? Now let's do one more time. Next, I'm going to compare coefficient of cos theta. The comparison will always be the same. You have to compare sine theta and cos theta. So I'm going to highlight the cos theta on the left hand side and the cos theta on the right hand side. On the left hand side, the coefficient of cos theta is 1. On the right hand side, the coefficient of cos theta is r sine alpha. Okay, I'm going to underline that. So there's a 1 at the cosine position, then there's a r sine alpha. So if you look at the green color underlined portion, that will give us a comparison of cos theta. So comparison of cos theta, I'll get 1 equals to r sine alpha. I'm going to label this as a simultaneous equation number 2. Now what do I do with number 1 and number 2? You have 2 things to do. First, I'm going to look at equation 1 square plus equation 2 square. Okay, so from here, equation 1 square plus equation 2 square. So left hand side square plus left hand side square and right hand side square plus right hand side square. So left hand side square will be a 2 square plus 1 square. I'm now using a left hand side to add up, okay? So this 2 square will be here. This 1 square will be here. On the right hand side, the right hand side square will be r square cos square alpha. on the right hand side of equation 2 would be r squared sine square alpha. I'm going to factorize out r squared. What's remaining is cosine square plus sine square, that is a 1 whole. 2 square plus 1 square. So r, if I'm going to take the positive root, our formula, you always have to take the positive root. Okay, you will always reject your negative root. One more time, our formula, the value of r is always positive. Remember your intention. If you recall, the intention is to find the value of r and the value of alpha. Okay, you've got to find the green color portion. So yep, I found the value of r. You can just press a calculator. This is square root 5. The second thing you have to do is equation 2 divide equation 1. Equation 2 divide equation 1, that will be to say I'm going to see a sine divide cosine, okay? Let's write that down. So equation 2 divide equation 1. On the left hand side is actually 1 over 2. On the right hand side is r sine alpha divided by r cos alpha. So left hand side is 1 over 2. Right hand side is r sine alpha over r cos alpha. The r will cancel out. Sine over cosine is tangent alpha. Remember your aim. Let me scroll up. Your aim is to find the green color alpha. You got to find r as well as to find alpha. Okay, let's scroll down. So to find alpha, it would then be tangent inverse 1 over 2. Okay, I'm going to highlight. Your job is to find the value of r as well as to find the value of alpha. Okay, once you have these two done, you may then get the two values and put it back into the format that you have created. So your final answer will always be r, whereby you have the value of r already. Sine will always be there, theta will always be there, then plus alpha. Alpha will always be the calculated value. Now, this is by the long way, okay? The long way to derive the format. I'm going to do the shortcut. Now. Now, the conclusion is, okay, let's look at equation 1, then followed by equation 2, okay? Now, one more time, you will use our formula when you can see that is a cosine plus minus sine or sine plus minus cosine. Now, there will always be a value in front. The value is called r. If you scroll back to see on the earlier statement, there will always be r here. And if you observe, right, the r is actually always square root something square plus something square, as I've derived for you. Now these two, if you remember, these two came from the coefficient of sine. This one came from the coefficient of cosine. So if you do memory work, the right hand side format, there will always be a square root, coefficient of cosine square plus coefficient of sine square. It doesn't matter whether this is a plus or a minus, but we will always take a positive value of A and a positive value of B. This is the so-called R that we are saying just now. Your job is to find R. Now, if the first trigo, I will highlight, if the first trigo that you see, this is called the first trigo. If the first trigo that you see is cosine, so what follows will be cosine first, followed by bracket. Now let me pause here first and do the second portion first, okay? So one more time, you will use our formula when you see sine plus or minus cosine. By memory work, the value of r, which is the first thing that you should write, is always the coefficient of sine plus the coefficient of cosine. That will be the same. But for this case, right, your trigo that appear first is sine. I'm going to label again. This is the first trigo. The trigo that appear first shall be the trigo that you are going to write down. So if it's a sine here that is seen first, you must write down sin. Open bracket. Now, if the angles are theta and theta, then in the bracket, it must be theta. If it's a 2 theta, then this must be 2 theta. One more time, theta, theta, the first angle shall be theta. Now I'll do the second one first. For SIN statement, if this is a plus, then you shall see a plus over in the bracket. If it's a minus, then you must follow it's a minus. But if you see a cosine first, right, you got to switch the order. One more time, you got to switch the order. If you can see that it's a plus here, then here must be minus. If you can see that this is a minus, then this shall be a plus. So you always have to reverse the signs when you can see a cosine that is written down here. Okay? So when you see a SIN, it will always be plus, minus. As usual, you follow the signs in front. But if it's for cosine first, you must reverse the order. Let's recall the alpha thing, okay? Let's go down. What is alpha? Alpha by memory work. Alpha is always tangent inverse as I derive for you. So alpha will always be tangent inverse. Where did the 1 come from again? The 1 came from the coefficient of cosine. That is in the second position. So we have a first position coefficient that is 2. We have a second coefficient that's a 1. The tangent inverse, right, it will always be the second coefficient divided by first coefficient. One more time, back to the statement. It will always be a tangent inverse. Your second coefficient is called B. First coefficient is called A. It will always be B over A. Same thing one more time. Tangent inverse. Second coefficient divided by first coefficient. You're supposed to memorize the shortcut. That is to say, if I give you some cosine plus some SIN, some cosine plus some sine, you're supposed to write down the format on your own. So there will be a R, there will be a trigo, there will be a bracket open, there will be a theta, there's a sine, there's a tangent inverse, second coefficient over first coefficient. You have to go memorize this. And we shall follow up on examples to see how we shall use these particular two statements.